Tony Michaels, look at that.
My dome
Welcome to
is
the show.
huge. Yeah, I gotta use dome.
Yeah, that's okay, as you should. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in and thank you, and thanks for joining me, brother, in this sort of off hours show, as it were, because I gotta say, there you broadcast during my morning show most of the time, and you lovingly send a raid my way, even though my show is over, forcing me to do Midwestern goodbyes more than any other person out there. Like you make me forcibly.
Well, I tell you that I go to raid someone and I'm like, okay, I got Hal here.
Yep.
Right. And then on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, I got Gabe Sanchez. Right.
Okay.
Then, But there's this Trump versus Biden debate thing. That's the AI debate. Sometimes I send my folks over there.
Sure. Yeah. Where it's 24 hours, right?
Yes.
It's just going all the time. And that one's fantastic. And get ready for that to be more pivotal in some elections than we would like in the future. Like people will be literally giving points to whoever, wins that debate, because somebody will do it and they'll add like, these are real debate points, both of them made. And then somebody will go, I haven't got a chance to watch any of the other debates. I don't have the time for that. But I watched the fake debate that was going on with just their talking points. And I just felt like he represents my desires more. And you're like, you do realize this is a sales pitch, asshole. But I love that thing. I think that's it's fucking hilarious. It's a good background.
So we've cut a couple pieces of it and played it on the show, and they loved it so much. And then I cut it up and put it on shorts on YouTube. And people love when Biden cuss and when Trump says really stupid shit.
I mean, the popularity of the Trump, Obama, Biden like Minecraft videos. I don't know if you've had a chance to watch those. Where they're okay, so they basically have pictures of them with gamer headsets on, and it's just audio, but there's basically like this Minecraft game going on, and they're just talking over it like they're a team of Minecraft players, and they're just like shitting on each other and using all the kind of like gamer slang, which is so fucking fun. It's great stuff. I'm sure my chat room will share some of them. Those that that know, and then those of you that don't know what the video he's talking about, share that back to them, because it's such a great pressure valve release with all the like tension and all the other shit that's going on. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of nice.
Great to goof.
Yeah.
It's great to goof. You got it. Like politics is so serious, and you get on like mainstream media, and they're just coming around. Like I was listening today, and they're like, "Oh my God, Trump's saying stuff out of Mein Kampf." I'm like, "What the fuck? Well, he's been saying shit out of Mein Kampf for like months. Where the hell? Yeah, like he's been in interviews talking about blood poisoning for months and months and months. I've been pointing it out. I know you've been pointing it out. Like, where the hell have you people been?"
Right. And the interesting thing is like I don't know what your opinion of it primarily when it first came out, but one of the things that was obvious to me was that this is something Stephen Miller's putting in, that Trump is too historically stupid to even know, not that he would object. I don't think he'd be horrified to find out he was quoting Hitler speeches. I just think the Stephen Millers on his team put those things in because they know it'll make the Proud Boy rejects nipples hard. So they're like, I fucking finally said it. Right.
He's quoting Hitler. Yeah.
Finally.
They're rage ranking, him quoting Hitler and reading Mein Kampf out loud.
Somewhere in a Michigan cabin, somebody's handing $5 to another guy that's wearing a Ted Nugent t-shirt going, you won. I said you've never openly quote Hitler, and you were like, dude, he's going to do it. And I was like, no way.
The best part? The best part though, because as soon as the next day when Sean Hannity did an interview, I was on my show, and I'm like, look, we're totally gonna have a video of the sheep in a pen waiting for a Nazi rally, and someone's gonna ask him with a microphone on some stupid fucking traitor TV news network. They're gonna be like, "Do you want Trump to be a dictator?" And they're gonna be like, "Yeah." And like I thought it was gonna take a couple weeks, maybe a month. No, fuck no. Next weekend, here it is. Yeah. Bam, there it is. They're like, yeah. And the greatest part is like they're like, raise your hand if you want him to be a dictator. Like, yeah, how? I'm like, whoa. Look, historically, when someone's asking you if you want a dictator, you don't raise your hand and point your fingers out in the air. Like, that's the last thing you want to do. But they're doing it. They're doing it.
I think it's their third to last thing in the Republican Party, and that the other two have been, maybe they've been satisfied at this point. What the first thing they want, or the second to last thing they want, is a guy with 3 wives who's representing the Christian right, and then the other thing would be the guy with 3 wives who buried one of them on his golf course. I don't know at one point where you run out of just the embarrassment nerve entirely.
You think these people have shame? Is that what you're saying?
No. I made a very important distinction. No. I don't think they feel shame at all. Shame is a deep emotion. Embarrassment is completely surface.
Right.
Like, I don't think Trump can feel shame, but I know he can be embarrassed. He's embarrassed all the time.
Okay. I'll ride with you on that one. What
do you think that bullshit, like, I passed a cognitive test, I aced it, I said, Doc, give me whatever you want. That's because he fucking gibberished up a town, and then he screwed up where Orban is the president, and like he's been brain farting all over the fucking place, and he's basically like, that was a brain fart, but I didn't shart, okay? I could prove it. You want to see my diaper? And everybody's like, no.
I can smell it from here. I don't need to see it, Grandpa.
We'll trust you.
I do have to say, the one thing I want to thank Trump for finally getting in front of a microphone and letting the world know that he's quoting Mein Kampf, out in the open, is that I've given him a new nickname, Grandpa Hitler. So I want to thank him for that, because I could never jam those two words together, Grandpa and Hitler, without Trump. I mean, it fits really well. So
nobody. I mean, obviously, he and Ava didn't get busy enough for them to make any, and I don't know that any of the people, like, that's a phrase that was never actually said by anybody who didn't change their name after the war. Yeah. I will say that, and it would obviously be in Arabic, but in Syria, I'm sure somebody who has a 3rd generation dog has called them, Grandpa Hitler, because they're big on naming their dogs after Hitler, because, it means he's tough. Yeah, fierce dog.
Oh, okay.
They do it in China too. In China, you can have a lot of people have dogs named Hitler and Stalin and that kind of stuff. And,
are you shitting me? That's kind of crazy. That's weird.
Yeah, because it means your dog's tough. It's like,
okay.
You know what I mean? It's like he's a monster.
Like your dog will murder and
Hitler attack,
genocide
right?
6 million Jews. Is that right?
That's right.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Well, dogs. Well, dog's kind of genocidal. You know,
he'll
what I mean?
He'll shake 6 million of them is, I guess, the idea. But yeah, they really do that. And in Syria it's a compliment, but in China it's a warning. There is a cultural difference, but that's the.
So instead of, like, in this country, you go in the backwoods, because I know you've been in the backwoods, and they got the big songs say, "Beware of dog, beware of Hitler, dog." Is that what?
Yes, just beware. They don't even put dog. Just beware of Hitler. Like,
beware
fuck.
of Hitler. Like, oh fuck, dog. The dog must be a crazy fuck. Does it have a mustache too? Does it got a little mustache?
Right. A little white dog with just that weird odd coloring. And, like my cat has Chip has a goatee or whatever. If that thing was moved up a little bit, he's got a little like his hair looks like it's parted and goes this way. I'm like, this would be really bad. I'm like, I would have to take him to can you anesthetize and bleach my cats? Right, exactly.
Oh my
it's
God.
Bad enough that he looks like a Spanish communist revolutionary who killed a bunch of people, right? So a couple things. Yes. The first thing I like to ask, especially when you and I crisscross, like I said, we're on at the same time, so we don't get to watch each other unless we watch the replays or clips or what have you. The 2 biggest stories right now for you, like the 2 things that you think aren't getting enough attention, or besides again his blood spoiling nonsense, that are coming up that you think people should pay more attention to, or that?
Well, I mean, the two big ones that are absolutely going to ensure that democracy wins here is Roe v. Wade and Roe Rage, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who coined that phrase, but I heard Dr. Rachel Bittencofer post it. Yeah. So I like that Roe Rage. So I think Roe Rage, and then Dick Taster is going to be. Sorry, Dictator.
No.
I've been calling him Donnie Dick Taster because.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Yeah. And again, this goes into kind of the Lindsey Graham portion of it. Like, we don't care if a Democrat friend of ours is a Dick Taster. If that's their thing, knock yourself out.
Whatever you want to do, right?
Yeah,
you're welcome
not even
to the party,
But it upsets them, and they're like, "God, quit it!" You know what I mean? It's it's just one of those things that, like, you only say it because it drives them crazy, and everybody can shrug it off.
Right.
Yeah, I absolutely think the polling versus voting thing is going to turn out exactly like we saw just about a month ago.
Oh yeah, in Ohio
Yeah.
and Virginia and Kentucky.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean, even in Mississippi, Tate Reeves, if he really he thought he
Mhm.
was going to lose because he was really trying to make sure that some of those polling stations there was long lines and shit. So
Right.
it was going to be close anyways, and it was close. But again, it would be closer if he didn't try to suppress the
Yeah.
vote intentionally. But
Right.
I mean, the fact that that Tate Reeves would even try to cheat in that state, in that governor's race, gives you good indication that they know internally they're fucked. But
Yes.
they can't stop the drug of fascism. Like they can't.
Right.
It's a train that they're not going to be able to get in front of now. And now that Donald Trump is, and I hope he keeps saying it more and more, like, I want to be a dictator. Look, I didn't say I want to be a dictator. I just want to be a dictator.
Okay, not one day, 1 week, a week, because for 2 weeks, I'll stop being a dictator in 2 weeks.
Right.
The 2 weeks that never comes.
Right. Well, the crazy part is that and the media is rambling on today about it. Huh?
The crazy part is that he's a candidate. Like,
well, I mean, we do live in the stupidest fucking timeline ever in history.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wonder if this is actual reality or if it's just some fucking alternate thing.
It's a simulation.
Right.
And somebody fell asleep on the keyboard and their elbow is on the exclamation point. And it's just going like that. So whatever they wrote last
totally
is like
fucking up everything. Just
crazy exclamation point.
But here's the thing: is we're gonna get to a point where Donald Trump, because the media is outraged that he's reading from Mein Kampf and talking about blood poison. I'm like, where the fuck have you people been? But they're really gonna be fucking weirded out when he's standing on stage and he's like, I want to be a dictator, and the reason why is because my flock wants me to be a dictator, because they do. They want him. Like that's the thing that's been most obvious since 2016 is the cult wants him to be the dictator. They want him. Like and when Donald Trump gets this whiff of just things that make him money, and he's like, oh, I can smell it. I can smell that they want me to be the dictator. And so like he seizes on it, and like stink on shit. And it's a thing that's gonna happen where he's gonna stand on stage.
It's maggot catnip is what it is. Like they automatically like she knows this.
It's sheep food. It's sheep food.
Now I have I think it was, I don't know where Tucker was on. I think he might have been on with Jimmy Dore or something, but he was talking about like UFOs and how it's the one thing he's afraid to talk about and because it's so serious or whatever. It's like so fucking dumb. It's so fucking dumb. But what it reeked up for me was something that is very Trumpian, which is, and I wrote it on Shitter, and I was like, this is what a person says when they know all of their viewers are morons and they've still got a nickel in their pocket. That's what this is. And the same thing with Trump. This is the kind of shit you say when you've got a bunch of like cult-like followers who are losing their shit and they've still got a nickel. If they didn't have a nickel anymore, he'd dust them off and move on. He does it all the time. But he still thinks that it's the small donors, because the big donors aren't bailing him out. That's what his bitching about interest rates and all that shit is now. That's why he's complaining about.
And Wall Street's gonna back Biden like they did in
fucking
2020.
Right, they are.
I mean,
even with higher taxes, they're doing better.
On stage, being like, "I'm gonna be a dictator." Like all corporations, all corporate people, all the rich people know what the fuck happens under a dictator. They all know. It's not fucking rocket surgery, for crying out loud. Like they're gonna figure this out, and just like they backed Biden in 2020 because he was saying all kinds of crazy shit about the pandemic. Put bleach. If we just put the sun under our skin, that would be great. Like what the fuck are you talking about?
Stick a light bulb up your ass and drink some bleach. Yeah,
it's fucking crazy. And capitalism, but mainly the plutocracy. In that Wall Street is not going to back someone who's going to risk that they will lose their plutocracy, right? Or the image of it, or the feeling of it, because they can't. That's the one thing they can't lose is their power is that they are tied to the money in the country. They got to control that.
Yeah. And well, over the last week, I thought we saw something kind of very distinct about these people. Is that Donald Trump's own lawyer accidentally called him a coward when Alina Habba on Sunday night said he's not a cow, he doesn't cower, and so he's going to testify. And then, like less than an hour later, he posts, "I'm not going to testify. This is bullshit. I'll just get myself in hotter water." And so she's like, "Oh, I guess he is a coward then? Is that what you were saying?" And then Rudy Giuliani had a chance to address the court in his, at least in terms of what he was going to have to pay, not his guilt, because that had already been established 100 times, and would have been, again, the entire Rudy Giuliani defense is simply like, Your Honor, what my client believes isn't believable. You just have to trust me that he's dumb enough to have believed it. Right? That is the defense. Right. He said all this awful shit, but he's so stupid he thought he was saying the truth. That's the defense. That's all you got to fucking do.
Well, someone was saying the other day, they're like, "How did Rudy fall?" And I'm like, "Really? Did he fall? Or was it just this?"
It's like Trump. It was always bullshit. It was always bullshit.
I mean, and I've said this a long time that everyone thinks MAGA is a cult, which it is, but the Republican Party has been a cult for many, many decades. Mm-hmm. Ever since Jerry Falwell really started to get involved and really started to court the Christian nationalist into his movement and call them Republicans and thin veil it with this conservatism shit. That's why it pisses me off when Paul Ryan and Liz Cheney want to be part of the Democratic coalition. I'm like, fuck you. What are you talking about? You people caused this. And until you're willing to be out there saying, hey, we caused it and here's how, I don't want to hear your shit. Look, and people get mad that I say that because they're like, whoa, Paul Ryan and Liz Cheney are really in this fight with us. I'm like, they're not in the fight with us. They're trying to save the Republican Party, not our democracy. Those are two different fucking fights. And their fight and our fight, that means to an end, will have the same outcome where Trump's not the president. So why do we have to invite them in? I mean, I like Rick Wilson because Rick Wilson from the very beginning said, fuck Trump. Right. And I respect Rick for that. But that's just about as far as I go, because there's a lot of things that I'm going to disagree with on Rick Wilson. But Rick Wilson caused Trump, and he admits it, and he's admitted it for a long time. So I respect him in saying that. But the other day when he did the video about, we need to welcome Paul Ryan in, fuck you, Rick. We're not welcoming Paul Ryan in. The guy doesn't believe in democracy. That's not what he wants. He's never wanted that. He doesn't want it now. He just wants our attention so he can save the Republican Party. And I'm not going to do that shit. Like, I'm not going to make Paul Ryan my friend. Fuck you. You are not a friend of democracy. You're not a friend of our constitutional republic. You fucking hate middle and average Americans.
I think most of the time it falls into, it's your mess, you clean it up. And and in terms of, even in that applies to Liz Cheney. She can believe all she wants, in democracy itself, and she can fight for her ideals from the other side and hash it out in the court of public opinion and all that kind of shit. But I'm not going to help you salvage the party you use to do it. If the apparatus of the entire fucking thing is toxic and chaotic and full of shit, I would argue that when Falwell was starting that shit, they had about 15 to 20% of the party. And that's what made it even more ironic when they called it the moral majority, when they weren't even the majority of their own fucking party. Because they put Newt Gingrich as their front person, another 3-wife fucker who left his second wife while, basically.
Is he still alive? Is he still alive?
Yes.
Every time I hear Newt Gingrich, I'm like, he's alive? Every time I see him, I'm like, wow, this guy's not dead.
Dude,
yet.
He made his wife sign the terms of their divorce when she was recovering from cancer surgery and she was still coming out of anesthetic. Like that guy.
So he's a Republican is what you're saying.
Right, but that was the guy they made him the point person for the religious conservatives who called themselves a moral majority. So why is it surprising that Trump became the next guy in line? Like, he's a total, yes, he's an about face. He's 180 degrees from what they say. But then so was Newt Gingrich. So was George W. Bush, for fuck's sake. Like, his cocaine use and his weird flights to South America all during Iran-Contra, where he's like, how do I know where the pilots were? Well, my son had some free time. Like, for fuck's sake. Like, what do you think he was doing? Like, do you think he just flew to South America for the fucking beach? And by the way, I don't doubt that he did, because they didn't trust him to look at shit. They just went, fly the plane down there, go have a look at the beach, and then get back on your plane and come back. Like, that's the kind of shit, right? And yet, that goes against the whole like national security, and we care about Americans and back the blue and all that kind of stuff because nobody winds
all
up.
Fucking lies.
Yeah, it's all marketing. It is all marketing. And in this particular,
that's what Trump is great at, right?
Yes,
he's great at taking lies. Well, that is true. Because he's like, look, I want to be a dictator, and you're like, oh, that's a horrible brand. Like that's not brand. That brand is not going to work in America. But MAGA isn't the cult. It's a Republican Party, and they've always looked for a cult leader. Like forever, they were like Ronald Reagan this, and Reagan that, and Ronald Reagan, and up Ronald Reagan's ass, and they love Ronald Reagan, and it never really culminated to a cult leader.
Oh, thank you, Jesse.
They always tried to do that, but it never really worked. And then came along this dummy buffoon from New York, and they're like, oh, this guy's perfect.
Perfect. Yeah.
Perfect. And the reason why is because Trump really truly is white trash. Like he's fucking white trash.
Yeah.
And the only reason why
he isn't that kind of white trash.
Right. Well, the only reason why he's not the kind of white trash that you look at your town, you're like, look, don't go talk to that guy in the store. He's a fucking crazy lunatic. He's an asshole. You don't want to talk to him. Is because his dad fucking took all that government money for HUD housing and stole it, really. His Nazi dad. But that's the reason why. I mean, they never would let him fucking buy an NFL team. They wouldn't even let him buy a small percentage. They never would let him into the fucking club because he's not elite. He's fucking white trash. And that's really, because I've always wondered that. Like, I'm from the backwoods. I'm from rural Missouri. I'm from the Ozarks, like where Netflix, the Ozarks series, that's where it was set. That's where I'm from. So, and it's kind of right. It's kind of right. A lot of meth, a lot of brains all cooked up on meth. But here's the thing, is I never could understand what the connection was between them. And that's what it is. They're trash. They feel like trash. They feel like
they recognize him.
That's right. Well, even though he's fucking rich and he brags about how much money he's got, which he doesn't have, which is what they do. They drive big trucks that the bank owns because they can't. They got to get a loan
to the mall.
Right.
It's again, these fuckers in these pickup trucks, and all they do is drive them from like mini mall to mini mall. It's so goddamn ridiculous.
I see so many of them, and they have these big trucks with these 8-foot beds, and they've never had anything in the
nothing in them.
Bed. Nothing.
Never.
Maybe a Trump flag. Maybe a Trump flag or something like that.
And a liner. They even have a fucking liner. And it's not because
spraying liner, like the expensive spraying liner.
Right, yeah.
Like, maybe I'll call something eventually. Now
these motherfuckers, and they're fucking pristine like a fucking Tesla or some shit. They polish them with a fucking
trucks
diaper.
And Tesla, did you see the video of the Cybertruck
with the Christmas tree? Which one? Or the one?
Hey man.
The other one that got stuck.
I gotta say that video with where they're hauling the Christmas tree, they're hauling more in the Cybertruck than what the Trumpers with the big fat, Ford, F-250 are hauling. So they are trying to haul a small Christmas tree in the Cybertruck, but it gets stuck in the fucking snow. It can't even go in the snow.
And it's hilarious. The torque on an electric motor is so high that you shouldn't have that problem. It's just, I don't know if it's shit tires or just bad driving or.
What do you mean? What's the problem? I mean, it's Elon. I mean, he was like, you know what? I'm going to take the worst car launches. Yeah, right. I'm going to take the two worst car launches in American history, the DeLorean and the Pontiac Aztek. I'm going to make them fuck and have a baby, and it'll work. It'll totally work.
And then I'm going to throw a cue ball at the window to show how unbreakable it is, and these dipshits are still going to buy it.
Right. Well, because they are part of the MAGA cult, and it's crazy that Elon's like all the people, all those bougie liberals who love electric vehicles. I'm gonna really piss them off, and I'm gonna try to get shit eaters to buy my Cybertruck. But
I don't understand that. I mean, marketing wise, that's one of the dumbest fucking things I've ever heard. Like this dude has done nothing but court people that are like hang on Trump's every word and think electric cars are not just bad or they don't go anywhere or any of that shit, that they're worthless, that they're bad, that they're like vehicles of the Antichrist.
It's the deep state.
Right.
They're deep state cars. That's what EVs are. They're deep state cars. They really are.
Sure. Yeah. Because,
I mean, it's an op. It's an op, Hal. See, the reason why is because we don't know this stuff is because we don't live in the reality that they live and know that everything's an op. And EVs are an op to convince us that we should be libtards and drink gay beer and go to Target and buy pride shirts. That's what EVs are intended to do, is to make you do that. That's why Pete Buttigieg is advocating
right, because
for
he's
EVs.
gay. We have gay roads
That's right.
now. That's
Yep,
right, because he's
exactly.
turned
Well,
the
I
roads
mean,
gay.
Listen,
They did.
as,
There was
as long as they don't have sex in the
and
Senate
then,
hearing room, I'm sure we'll be okay.
good Lord. So that
Did you
yes.
notice that all the right wingers
Mhm.
were posting gay porn on their
It's
Twitter
very
accounts?
strange.
Did you notice
It's
that?
very strange. It's very it's very curious.
I was like, well, should I post the video, or will people think that I'm a right winger now? If I
Does
post
anybody
this
look at the
video?
likes or all right? Anyways, the and again, it's not what you do; it's where you do it. Have a little decency. That's the only issue.
Hey,
Like,
here's the
what's
thing.
wrong with
Here's the thing. And someone said this on my Twitter.
Mhm.
I really have to comment. If there is a door and it can lock,
Yeah,
either someone has tried to or will try to have sex in that room. Like, it's a human thing.
sure, right.
That
Well,
people have sex in room, especially in office buildings. They love people love the fucking office buildings for whatever reason. They get all sexed up at work and they like to have sex in office buildings.
trysts.
Right. Now, you probably shouldn't record it for evidence when you're having sex in a public
Yeah, because then
building.
the door isn't even part of the
Right.
conversation anymore.
Right.
And I mean, it's these Gen Zers, man. They just don't know when to stop. But there's a movie that I love. It's called The Secret of My Success. It's a Michael J. Fox movie. It's very.
Oh,
it's
I
a,
thought
it's
you were
sim-
going to say
it's-
there's a gay porn thing. I mean,
No,
you said a
no,
movie. We were talking about.
No. But there's a great moment in it because it brings up to the point you're talking about, where he's being chased. He's pretending to be an executive, so he dresses as an executive, but he really works in the mailroom. So he's got to hide from his mailroom boss while he's pretending to be an executive, and he has to outrun him at one point. And he's, slipping through other rooms and shutting the door behind him. And he goes into a one of these storage closets, these like supply closets, and these two people are having sex on top of the stuff. And he goes, "Oh, excuse me, aren't you from receiving?" And he's talking to the woman. It's just such a subtle joke that I just, aren't you from receiving? I gotta say, like, that joke. And it's just and the movie moves so fast in that moment that you really don't
even notice it unless you're really listening. Maybe you have to rewind and rewatch that she's receiving. That she's receiving.
Yes,
well, I thought that it was great because the right wing's like, look, people are having gay sex in the hearing room. I'm like, well, that's when two dudes are having sex. That's how I don't know if you have figured that out. Maybe you haven't figured out like heterosexual sex, but that's how two dudes do it. Like, that's how.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's kind of like the Lauren Boebert thing because everyone got onto her for giving a hand job in the Beetlejuice. She was juicing the beetle. But I was like, look, there's so many fucking things to really actually hate and really mock Lauren Boebert to be a congressperson.
Right.
Giving a hand job in a theater because she's drunk or high or whatever, and this dude's got a hard on.
Least of our worries.
Hard to believe.
Right.
That's not hard to believe. It's not hard.
Yeah.
It's not really hard. And the same goes with this sex in the Senate hearing room. And I know a lot of lefties probably don't want to talk about it because it's Democratic staffers doing it. But the thing is if you can't imagine that these same Democratic staffers may or may not have, been on a certain app with Lindsey Graham, Lady G, and possibly, done things in a locked room somewhere. Come on, man. This is ridiculous. It ain't about the sex. It's the fact that they were recording it while they're at work.
Yeah.
And they're going to be fired for it. So what do you all bent out of shape for?
I can't wait till they have hearings, though. That's the thing. That's what I want. I can't
Whoever's
wait.
sitting in that spot.
Oh, my God.
You think they'll feel really uncomfortable? They're like,
and they'll put Jim Jordan in charge of it, and it'll be the first time in his life he's ever had to face gay sex happening nearby that he knew was happening, but somehow refused to talk about. Like, the dude, like what's going to be the Democratic response? Is your problem, Mr. Jordan, that it is consensual and someone told? Which part do you have a problem with? The not telling or the telling, the consensual or the non-consensual part? What a fucking prick. Anyways, so in terms of the, like, I don't think that I've been watching some of the Hunter Biden like hearings they had where they dug these IRS whistleblower guys back out to run over the same shit. And one of them said, I think the Republican congressperson said, he was going through this, like, I'm going to draw your attention to part of your testimony, or your statement, not your testimony. He goes, like page 7 of your testament, your statement, and I'm going to draw attention to page 104 of your statement. And I was like, this motherfucker made a statement that is over 100 pages long, and this guy, you're going to tell me this guy isn't a partisan? Like, good God, man! It's 6 details. Did he avoid taxes? Yes or no? Do you think it should have been federal crimes or federal like in terms of like a misdemeanor or should it have been handled by the states? Yes or no? Like it's over and it's just that's it.
Well, yeah, but hey, listen, he had to make sure to describe every single Snickers vein in Hunter Biden's cock in the pictures that they showed in the hearing room. That's the craziest part is they're gonna freak out over dudes having sex in a room and like you're showing porn, like you're like holding up pictures of Hunter's dick in the same in the same context.
You're holding up non-consensual nudes of a stranger that you had no right to have in the first place to prove a point that does not actually need to be made. Like, no one cares. Not like him.
And they're mad about a video of on this. And apparently maybe that's the difference. On the Senate side, it's very offensive. On the House side, not so much. I don't know. I can't figure it out.
Well, it's it's the rabble of the House versus the the gentrified Senate. And again, I'll tell you why. Because the Senate is more expensive to get elected to, so you got to go fancy dinners. So you can't walk around going, "Oh yeah, welcome. Oh, lovely. I've been thinking about joining some of my riches to your campaign, and I certainly enjoyed how you showed up that giant cock in the middle of that hearing, right? That was lovely." Like, whereas in the House, it's just like you got a bunch of people in a fucking caucus room in Georgia going, "Here's another $5. You should show him his dick again," right? Like,
"Hey, are you gonna buy a raffle ticket for the dildo?" I mean, goddamn, it looks just like Hunter's dick.
It's amazing what 3D printers can do today. It's amazing.
You know what's crazy is we can sit here and talk about this shit and it's real. It's real. We're not even making any of this shit up. Like, this is
Nope, none of it. I will. Here's one of the pieces of good news, and I want to see your take on this. So Donald Trump has been bragging about his fucking polling lately, and I've been making the case that he's in deep shit. All like whatever blather, Biden polling aside, which I'm not worried about. We're a year out, doesn't bother me at all. I'm not even focusing on that. But Trump's got to win a primary, so his matter. His are now. His are reasonable. And in the last, since the summer, well, and never mind the fact that again he won handily 98% of the Republican vote in 2020, right? Took it all. Like everybody who was a registered Republican, got off their ass and voted. Now, there's fewer of them than there are of us, and that's the part that scared the fuck out of them by millions. But all of them voted for him. And now in Iowa, he's at 46% of the party in the caucuses in the poll.
Oh, it's not a good sign. But here's the thing is that because if you do the Republican primary math, right, he's going to be the nominee. And the reason why is because Ron DeSantis has basically wasted all his money in Iowa, which now his staff is gone, his money's gone, his donors are gone. Ron DeSantis is fucking cooked. Right. Even his supporters are starting to peel off, realizing Ron DeSantis isn't viable in Iowa. And Ron DeSantis does not have a ground game anywhere else. It was Iowa or bust. And he basically did what Scott Walker did. You remember Scott Walker? You remember that guy? Yeah, he totally Scott Walkered himself. I don't know why Ron DeSantis is so stupid, but he is. So there's that. And you know what? I will have to say this is the one good thing that Trump has done for this country is ruin Ron DeSantis' career. So I'm happy about that. So thank you, Trump.
Which he created in the first place. So talk about a circle jerk. Like, they talk about communism, like pay one guy to dig a hole and pay him to fill it in. But that's exactly what Trump does politically. He digs a hole and fills it in. That's it.
Right. Well, so good on Trump for ruining Ron DeSantis. But here's the thing. When you get into Iowa, Ron DeSantis is number 2. Possibly number 3, maybe Nikki Haley. I fucking seriously doubt it. I think they're dreaming with Nikki Haley. She's so bad at this. She's terrible at it. Everyone thinks she's good, and the media says she's good, which obviously means she's bad. Now, when Ron DeSantis loses, right, we get to New Hampshire and South Carolina. Those are the 2 places that Nikki Haley and Ron DeSantis are going to play for is New Hampshire and then South Carolina. We all know if Nikki Haley loses in South Carolina, she's done. She's finished.
Because it's her state.
Right. It's her state. She was the fucking governor there. So she can't win there. She's fucked. Now, in New Hampshire, the problem with New Hampshire is it is a little bit independent, even on the Republican side. So Chris Christie is going to peel some from these morons, but he's not going to peel the Trump vote. Okay. And that's why Trump, so that's where the math actually comes from, because once Trump has Iowa, he has New Hampshire, and he has South Carolina's belt. That's it. There's no one to cook past that.
Right. For the record, I completely agree that he's got the nomination locked as far as volume. What I'm saying is that the way he's doing it is by severing the GOP in half.
Oh, absolutely. Well, right. And nothing shows more than Ron DeSantis, because so many supporters have been like, I'm Ron all the way because fuck Trump. And now they're in a position where they have to go back. And the problem isn't, well, the problem isn't that they don't want to go back. It's the problem is that this is how fascism works.
Right.
Like, I had a friend, and I tell this story on my show. We were talking the other day, and he kind of jokingly said, because he voted for Trump in 2016. He voted for Biden in 2020. But he said, I don't really like, he's old, he's kind of joking. And he said, I might vote for RFK Jr. And I said, look, and I got real serious with him for a second. I said, look, what I want you to do is I want you to vote for Trump. He said, what? I said, I want you to vote for Trump. And here's the reason why. Is because if you want Trump to win and Trump wins, what I don't want is for when the Nazis start going through the voting tally and they find out that you voted for RFK instead of Trump, they're going to come around to your house and they're going to kill you and your family.
Right.
And he was like, what? And I was like, listen, go vote. I'm dead serious. Go vote for Trump, because I want your family to live when they come look around at the list. House.
When they look at the list that's supposed to be, it's supposed to be anonymous. It ain't.
It ain't.
If he wants,
they'll find it. They'll find it. And I was like, you got to make sure that you protect your family from the regime. And he's like, man, that's dark. And I'm like, look, no one knows, because he's a personal friend of mine. I've known him for years. I was like, really knowing that I know this personally, has studied and watched World War II and is interested in that history more than you. I said, just use your brain and A and B. And he's like, you're fucking right. And I'm like, I know I'm right. But what I'm telling you is, if you know I'm right, just do the right thing. And that is to vote for fucking Biden, you dummy.
Yeah.
What are you doing? Why are you even, it's not even fun to joke about.
Well, the other thing is, I would argue, honest to God, I would argue that in that case, if somebody's like, I'm thinking about voting for, RFK or Marianne Williamson or blah, 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 through the primary or through the independent. I'm like,
Biden's old.
Right. Just vote for Trump then, because that's what you're doing.
Right.
Don't fuck around. Don't pretend that if you think you have the amount of privilege you have to think that you can waste a fucking vote in the face of Donald Trump, who just got rid of women's rights and will give Netanyahu the total go-ahead.
About it.
Yeah, and give Netanyahu the go-ahead to absolutely level Gaza once and for all, with the backing of the Saudis, by the way.
Oh, and taking the entire West Bank.
Yeah, fuck them. They're gone. There's no middle ground in this. None. There's none of this. And so if you're gonna dick around with your vote, just vote for Trump and shit or get off the pot, because that's what you're doing. This isn't a situation where we're like, if we learn nothing from fucking Nader giving the presidency to George W. Bush, and if you honestly think Al Gore would have responded to 9/11 by going into Iraq, and you can live with that constant return of that's how it'll always go, it's just what fucking happens. If you're gonna be that fucking dumb, then you might as well just go all in.
Go vote for dumb.
Yeah, just go all in on dumb. Go straight up fucking dumb. Just go for it. Stop.
Just bet on it. Don't
what's this side conscience horse shit where you're like, well, I didn't vote for Trump. I just threw my vote in the fucking trash or didn't show. And so that way, if women lose even more of their rights or contraception goes away or, any of that shit, fuck it. Not my fault. I stood there as the bull hit the woman. You know what I mean? That's really what it is. That's
well, and again, they're going, I mean, they've already shown, because they're like, oh, no, you're getting too crazy. You're having too much outrage about Roe v. Wade. It's not, they're not gonna come for women's rights. And I'm like, now they're criminalizing certain types of pregnancy. And they're banning women's health care and criminalizing women's health care. They're having to leave states to go save their fucking lives. Okay. Now they're taking away parental consent. They're taking it away. They're
Mhm.
using trans kids as their legislative tool to take away
Right.
parental consent. I mean, Senator Mike Moon here in Missouri last year, and you probably remember this video. I showed it on my
Yeah.
show today, where he introduced a bill where you could have 12-year-olds being married, 12-year-old girls, because they're not going to want 12-year-old boys getting married. That's not a thing. They
No.
want 12-year-old girls to get married.
Yeah.
They wouldn't want the boys to miss their manhood. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, right. But so they want to marry 12-year-old girls. Now, the same motherfuckers want to force 12-year-olds to have babies. And then these assholes are on the Turning Points USA stage this weekend, and they're telling young women, drop out of school. And Charlie Kirk says out of his own fucking mouth, have kids as young as you possibly can and have as many as you possibly can.
Right.
That's what Charlie Kirk said. So Charlie Kirk, the same guy who's advocating for 12-year-olds to be married, he's advocating for the Nazi party in Missouri that is asking for 12-year-old girls to get consent to be married. He's asking those girls to be married and have children as young as possible, and then advocating that they have to force them to give birth of their rapist husband who has been forced on her by the consent of her parents or whatever the fuck, wet fascist dream they have. These are the people we're talking about, the white Christian nationalists. And they're not going to stop until they have their...
the quiverful oath keepers. Right. Yeah. Somebody in the chat room just said quiverful movement. That's exactly right. And this is another, like, it's a population push. It's this idea that they believe in the white replacement theory or whatever the fuck. That's
all projection. That's all projection. Because what they were saying this weekend is, hey, we got to have as many white, blue-eyed, blonde-haired babies as we can because, those scary brown people are taking over. But I mean, and I let my audience in on a big secret, and I wasn't aware that a lot of people didn't know this, and I'm sure you do. But Hitler actually in Nazi Germany had sex camps. And they had concentration camps, but they had sex camps. They would get teenage girls and teenage boys, and they put like summer camps like right next to each other where they could see across like the lake that they were all swimming in, and they would separate them and get them all sexed up, just sex up these teenagers, let them look at each other, swimming and exercising and shit. And then they put them together and make them impregnate the girls because they wanted more fucking white children. Right. They wanted to
Goebbels' experiments with twins, and his move to Argentina afterwards is why there's like the biggest collection of blonde twins in the world is in Argentina, for fuck's sake. Like,
really?
You don't know about that?
Huh.
That's a super fun
I need to
deep
learn
dive
on that one. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So, but that was where the bug out was.
Because what you're saying is Goebbels was trying to figure out, like, how can we get women to not have one Nazi but two Nazis? Way more effective.
That's right. Yeah, double your pleasure, double
when they're having two Nazis at once.
Double your Führer. Yeah. So
double your pleasure, double your Führer. Oh my god.
So everybody in the chat now is like, there's a book about it. And also just put that in there. 80s just saying Nazis invented meth. I don't know that they invented it. I think they made it a readily available product for their soldiers. By the way, the Hamas soldiers are the fighters are all gacked out on the same shit. Everybody's on meth. Like, they're
on throughout. Speed, then, huh? Well, I have to admit, I've been sick the last couple of weeks, so I had to take pseudoephedrine. So I've been on speed, and like I can feel it. Like when I take it, I'm like, dude, this ain't half bad. Like that's a good thing I'm not, akin to drug addiction, because I might be chewing that shit.
Imagine chewing that shit or crushing and snorting it like Noel says that Trump did on The Apprentice all the time. If you can't get your hands on the good stuff, and the thing about having Sudafed, especially at that time, because everybody until it swapped over, and they changed the ingredients, and that's why the green Sudafed boxes that were in his thing are from Europe, where they still have the ingredient, right? Mm-hmm. Whereas now it has to be separated and it's got too little in it. But early on, the fucking 90s and the late 80s, man, that shit had plenty in it. You do like 4 of those things, crush them up and snort them. It was like burning some meths, and that's where he learned it. That's where a bunch of people fucking learned it, right? But Pervitin is what the Nazis handed out to everybody, and that was meth. And it's like this pill form of meth. There's this great story about this, like, I think he's Norwegian, but there was this Norwegian soldier that was fighting the Russians, and they had sided with the Germans. That's where the split in Ukraine was and all that kind of stuff. And this dude, everybody in his unit he's separated from his unit because the 5 guys on the scout force he was with died, and he's by himself, and he doesn't have any provisions. All he has is his Pervitin, which is like this tube of like 10 tablets, and you're supposed to take one every like 5 days. He took all of it. And the stories apparently of what they worked out, what he did, because he doesn't remember a shit ton of it, but he lived in this, like, he fought his way into this house and killed everybody there, and then lived in the house surrounded by death, and then eventually tried to cook himself something, burned the fucking house down, and found himself in the snow, and then he came upon some, like, he got shot 3 times and all this crazy shit. And
sounds like a Thursday where I'm from. Sounds like a Thursday where I'm from.
Yeah, it's West Virginia, basically, if anybody's ever been there. That's what it's like. And it turns out there was nobody in the house that he burned down. He just dreamt it all while he was there, like every aspect of it. He told them the story, and they retraced his steps, and you're like, there wasn't anybody in that fucking house. There's nobody. Are you out of your fucking mind? Yeah, I was on like 15 pills of Pervitin, man.
I was fucking
I'm gonna sleep for a month. It's so crazy. I'll try and dig up the story so I can pass it along to you. But again, there is a correlation here to the like the Adderall, Sudafed, hardcore focus nootropic idea in the right wing, especially. And you can tell this in all the pitter-patter guys. All the guys who just get and they talk like this, and they know they're on ADD drugs, but they don't have ADD, so they just, and that's what
they're popping the Ritalin.
Yeah, absolutely. And so they just
crushing it and putting it in an enema.
That's right. That's right. So nobody can see it.
Everybody knows that's how you really get the good effect.
Who is the guy, the crypto guy, Sam Bankman-Fried, SBF or whatever? Yeah, he's doing like Parkinson's meds and like speed up his ass. And people like, you look at the label.
Times calls for desperate measures. Okay?
And they're like, he was gambling. He was living in a pansexual sex cult place. Remember, they all that place
sounds pretty good.
But it was like makes you like super horny and yet unable to experience pleasure. Make it like side effects.
These are the effects or the side effects.
Yeah, side effects. Gambling, all that shit.
I was hoping they were the effects. I'm like, which drug is this? I want this one.
Again,
I want those.
Depends on what you're shooting for. Again, because it's only a contraindication if it's not what you like. I guess. Right. So, hold on. This whole thing's gonna be like Pervitin, Norway Soldier, crazy. I don't know. Fuck, it'll come up. Yeah. That's right. Imo Koivunen was this guy. I'll show you this guy. And the picture of him, it was Finland. Fuck, I was so close. It wasn't Norway, it's Finland. So this guy, hold on.
Norway, Finland, that's the same shit.
He looks like he's on meth anyways. Buddy. So, his hair looks like
How long do I have to sit here for the picture?
He's running like Sonic the Hedgehog. 1944, got separated from his unit, survived for weeks inside the Arctic Circle without food or shelter, fueled by a dose of meth large enough for 30 men. Imo Koivunen. It's such a fucking crazy story, and it's all true. 250 miles. He basically walked in a giant circle.
My God.
It's so like he was being chased by the Soviets. He skied over a landmine that exploded it and started a fire, and he survived the explosion. And this is it. That's Pervitin. That's the drug. The Nazis were all on this shit. They were all gacked up on this stuff, Yeah, they were all basically like Bobcat Goldthwait in Police Academy 2. I'm a vegetarian.
What? That's Bobcat Goldthwait, like in the movie Blow, when they bring the blow to him to test it. And I think he takes just one fingernail full, and he's like, I can't feel my face.
Yeah, right.
He's like, this is 99% pure. I can't
feel my face. So good. Always back to your mother. Why don't you just work it out? So, anyways, I like this whole story, but ISIS fighters are all on meth. They're all on meth, all of them. And in Sudan, the RSF fighters and all the on the ground Sudanese army guys are also on it. And quite frankly, one of the big concerns of it, among the others, is that it makes you a fucking robot, and it kills your empathy almost entirely. The shit you will do. If anybody's ever seen like a meth head, how they treat their like who's being busted by the cops, who like dislocates their own shoulder and gets out of the cuffs and that kind of shit, or like gnaws on people,
climbs out of a crack in the window like this fucking
right?
big,
Yeah, and
like a cat. Like, how did you do that?
How do you like it? Yeah, right. They dislocate their own hips. They'll break their own bones, like all kinds of crazy shit. It's fucking nuts. And like, that's a burner use of it. That's just somebody recreationally. Imagine the dude who's got like a mission, a deep and abiding mission that he's been programmed with all this time. Wind these fuckers up and then toss them that shit, right?
Well, thinking about it though, like, wouldn't you look at history and be like, all the methed up armies have always lost? Like, they got a really shitty record here.
No.
Like, maybe
the armies didn't lose. The uppers lost, because I think they lost control of their fucking Wolverines.
They're all fucking
right. Yeah. Like,
where do I get more meth? No, you're supposed to be fighting a war. Yeah, but I want more meth.
Right. They're talking to soldiers like they're soldiers, and they're like, okay, attack. And they're like, okay. And they just keep going. You're like, no. Attack until dawn, I guess, and then stop, and then eat, and then shit, and dig a hole, and start. Reload your weapon. What the fuck are you doing? And they're just like, right.
At least put the clip in, for crying out loud.
Yeah. And somebody else is bringing up the fact that African fighters are also on khat, which is another, it's like Binlan in Taiwan you can get. It's a chewable, it's like a coca leaf, or like a coconut. And you chew on that, not the coconut, but a coca nut. And you chew like on cocaine. That thing. Yeah, it's like cocaine. And you just chew on it like dip. Right? Yeah, right. Getting too dark. Hey. So, yeah. So these, I gotta say, like, it's not surprising that a big portion of those folks are nuts and empathy's not there. But I have a theory that if you don't have ADD or you don't have ADHD and you use ADHD or ADD corrective chemicals in your system, it can make you racist. Hear me out.
Okay, well, let's go down this road. I like this.
Right.
One. Yeah.
What is Ritalin especially, but Adderall is used mostly by like college students who are trying to study, because why? It keeps you hyper focused. It keeps you, it makes your brain include all the details you will need for the task at hand and exclude all else. Right. It basically puts blinders on you, chemical blinders. And again, I'm talking about people who use it off label. This isn't about people who have ADD and ADHD. People get confused. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about if you use these drugs for shit if you don't need it. It's like, I don't know, having like chronic fatigue syndrome and they give you a stimulant to do it, that makes you normal. But if you don't, then if you don't,
you're an asshole, chronic fatigue,
racist. Yeah, right, yeah. But the more you narrow focus it, the more the details you see are going to only feed into whatever the narrative you're looking for is. It will create,
you stop seeing all context, right?
Yeah, you see no context.
No nuance, no
unless you're looking for it specifically.
Black and white. Right.
And if you talk about like, confirmation bias, for example, you tune right-wing Ben Shapiro level confirmation bias and that crowd shit with Ritalin or Adderall or, any number of focused nootropics or whatever, like that kind of thing. It'll make you go, maybe there is something to this whole Jews thing, right? Like that's part of where it comes from, because they're chemically.
Wait. Did you say Jews thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I was just trying to figure out which type of racism we were at.
Right. I could pick one, and I was like, because this whole black thing doesn't quite sell it. So in my mind,
it could be like, well, do you wear blue or do you wear black? Like you can't wear black with brown. You got to wear blue with brown, right?
That's
that
right.
Black
but
thing,
Jews isn't unmistakable, right?
Right.
So
you're right.
That's where part of this comes from. But the problem is, and we're over the end of the hour, and I'll let you go. But I want to remind everybody, you're on every morning from. I'm
on every Monday through Friday, noon Eastern, 11 Central.
Gotcha.
9 Pacific on
For
YouTube.
how
long? 2 full hours every single day. Yeah. Same time, 2 full hours. And I know we overlap a little bit. And I want to say, while I'm here, appreciate all the sparklers that show up to the show, because we got a lot of sparklers in the chat all the time. When you're not on, I'm on. Now, I know our styles are kind of the same, so a lot of people like to, cross pollinate.
Sure.
Not in a Senate hearing room, just on the interwebs. You know what I mean? But I'm just saying.
Don't make me show queer as folk gifts, and really make you uncomfortable.
Not that there's anything wrong with that. Not
right?
That anything, that was that. That piece of cult pop culture of Seinfeld saying, not that there's anything wrong with that. It was like the first moment that it started to happen. Working to queer as folk, and now we have on Twitter online, people are posting to Democratic staffers. Gay sex in a hearing room. This is the evolution of how.
Right, and the only
works.
thing bad about it is that they did it at work, and that's just that's an HR party foul.
Well, they filmed it. They filmed. Yeah. I mean, you could do it at work. You just
that's how we know. That's how we know. Again, if I gotta say, if you filmed it and you didn't get caught, we wouldn't be upset about the filming part, because we never actually saw it. Right? That got out. And so the only reason we know they were breaking like work rules was because the filming got out. Right? Don't
film yourself having sex in public places, only in your bedroom.
Oh, they could have been just as bad if a laugh-in moment happened, like, hello. Okay. All right. Are you from receiving? Click.
Aren't you from Cardin's receiving office?
That's all right. Wow. Well, good luck with that, guys. Boy. Hey, whatever. I don't know whether I'm supposed to applaud. I'm caught in a progressive loop here. I don't know whether I'm supposed to. I support you, but I'm also leaving because this is not
weird.
Consensual, but also you're violating my personal. This is very rough. I don't know who to support the most right now.
I'm an ally, but goddamn, not in the Senate room.
Sorry, I would leave, but I really want you guys to feel comfortable. I'm not trying to shame you or anything like that. If I was a Republican, I would just start masturbating. But this is, I don't even know. I gotta go.
I went to Target and I bought a Pride shirt.
That's right. I'm going straight there. Right. He comes back later in a Pride shirt going, you guys still? Oh, they left. All right. Well, shit.
Fuck.
Hope they post the video.
I'll lock the door so no one else comes in.
Right.
Comes in the room. Anyways.
So Tony Michaels, the Tony Michaels podcast, Monday through Friday, and he's on for a solid
2 full hours every single day. If the sparklers, if Hal's not on, come check it out. If Hal's on, well, just come over here and watch Hal, for crying out loud.
Say hi. Yeah. It's good stuff. And it's, and a variety of things. And also, I will be, after you leave us, I will be jumping into Trump's musical. He's now got his, like, he's doing that televangelist music at the end.
Oh, really? This is interesting. I watched the NFT cards, but he's like, I tore my suit up into little pieces, and I'm gonna send you a piece of my suit if you just buy all the cards, buy all of them, and then I'll send you my suit. It's fucking weird stuff.
Which is like $5 fucking grand.
Yeah. So, like, well, I showed it to my son. I showed the video to my son.
Right.
And he's almost 18, and he was like, "Fuck, now I want one." He's like, he's like, I want to be able to say how stupid this is, that we had a president who got fucking, he's charged so on felonies, right? That he's selling pieces of his suit in the fucking mugshot. He's like, he's like, when else are you gonna have the opportunity to have something like that?
I would totally go see one of those in the Smithsonian.
Yeah,
like that is fucking amazing. You want to see the dumbest thing in the entire museum? Come here. They've got a Band-Aid size strip of this dickhead suit. Sealed,
and everyone's crowded around like it's the Mona Lisa.
Sealed,
you know what I mean?
In bulletproof glass in case one of his dickhead followers tries to steal it. I've got $5,000, but I got a small mallet. Like bow. I'm freeing his suit, Jesus. So good.
It's possible that that's going to happen. Now, here I want to tell everyone, if you want to find me at wherever it is on the socials, on the broadcast, wherever it is, just go to thetonymichaels.com. That's thetonymichaels.com. You can find everything there.
This is how we do it. That's right. And for the record, when I'm back east for the Sexy Liberal Comedy Tour, which will be coming up in the next year, you and I are going to do a sit-down podcast version. We'll just live stream it to both groups at the same time.
Oh, yeah,
in
great.
the same room. We'll make it happen.
Yeah, sure.
I'm planning that.
Sounds great.
Yeah, that's got to be a part of it. And then
Let's do
again,
it.
yeah, at some point, launching some sort of greater thing. As I've
Yeah,
been
sure.
behind the scenes,
Absolutely.
kind of like recrafting
Yeah.
shit, you know.
Shh, don't tell the secret.
All
Don't
right,
tell the
because
secret.
well, it's an election year, and I think it's necessary. We got to have all hands
Right.
on deck, and the important thing
Right.
is no throwaway votes, no bullshit. And I'm not and if people think I'm vote shaming, good. You should be fucking ashamed of yourself if you vote for Trump or you let a vote for Trump, you know, go unanswered. And that's, honest to God, as you know, people know, check out my fucking label down there. I ain't got no shame about it. So, much love, brother. Thank you for coming on, and I will see you again
and
soon.
by the way, if we do
Yeah.
a in-person, the only thing I request is that we do it in a Senate hearing room. Thank you, Hal, for
careful what you wish for.
I'm just saying, I'll show up in my straps and all that kind of stuff, and we can
Absolutely
do a live show from the Senate hearing room. Thanks, Hal, for having me on.
Yes.
Absolutely.
You gotta come back on our show too. Oh, by the way,
Yeah.
Skip Vons wanted me to say that he wants to do something, is some kind of jamming with Johnny Million.
Johnny Million, absolutely.
Yeah, pass that on.
I got to drag him along. I think he has to so that I can, you know, perform more. He's got to be my guitar player for the increasing number of comedy songs I'm making for the Sexy Liberal tour. I think that's going to have to be part of the greater thing. I've great plans.
Oh, okay.
Great,
All right.
great.
All right.
We'll see. Yeah.
We'll check them out and come back on my show when you're not doing
It's a
your
deal.
show. I know it's difficult, but we'll figure that
On a
out.
Tuesday or Thursday, we can make it happen. All right. Peace, brother.
Thursdays, Tuesdays, great. We'll see you.
Love it. Okay, thanks, brother.
See ya.
There he goes. Ladies and gentlemen, Tony Michaels joining us on the show today. Tony Michaels, all right. Tony Michaels, yeah! Tony Michaels, woo! Tony Michaels, yeah! In a conference room